Good evening. My name is Bill McCarthy and I'm president of the Minnesota AFL-CIO, the state's labor federation of more than 1,000 local unions who represent more than 300,000 working people throughout our state. Thank you for joining us. Every year on April 28th, the unions of the AFL-CIO observe Workers' Memorial Day to remember those who have been injured or died on the job. It's also a day to renew the fight for safer jobs. This year, amid the COVID-19 pandemic, that fight has taken on new urgency. Every single day, workers across Minnesota are putting themselves at risk, both in the battle against this virus and in the effort to continue providing the essential goods and services that Minnesotans depend on. These workers didn't ask to put their lives on the line. They want the same things every Minnesotan wants: to earn a fair return on their work and to come home safe at the end of the day. That's why we owe it to them and to all Minnesotans, not to simply focus on when we can reopen the economy, but rather on how we should reopen it to ensure the health and safety of working people. And while we observe Workers' Memorial Day online this year, the spirit and solidarity of Minnesota's labor movement is stronger than ever. Tonight, we will hear from union workers from across Minnesota who are observing the day by sharing their stories and talents. We will also hear from some of our elected officials, including Governor Tim Walz, who has issued a statewide proclamation declaring Workers' Memorial Day in Minnesota. Brothers and sisters, like we have done so many times in the past, working Minnesotans are going to get through this crisis by joining together and supporting one another. Thank you.
Hello to everyone tuned into the Minnesota AFL-CIO Workers Memorial Day event on Facebook. I'd like to thank my good friend Bill McCarthy for inviting me to say a few words today and organizing this event. But I mostly want to thank you, all the members of our state's Federation of Labor, representing over 300,000 workers and more than 1,000 local unions. But you know what? You represent more than that. You represent all the workers in Minnesota. How? Because you are giving them a voice. In the past, we know this has been all about higher wages and the right to organize and safety. And now more than ever, that is becoming in glaring focus. We must do more to make sure that our worker safety laws are being enforced. We must do more to make sure our workers have the equipment that they need on the front line. To think that our healthcare workers were sewing up masks and that we had grocery store workers that didn't have masks at all. Because of your advocacy, it's getting better, but we know it is still such a difficult time. So many have lost their lives on the job, just doing their best to keep us safe. And I believe it's never more important to recognize workers on the front line than now during this pandemic. We simply can't thank you enough. That word feels weak for what you do every day. It is all of you, our workers. Yes, the first responders, the paramedics, the police, the firefighters, and healthcare workers. But it is also the grocery store workers, the transit workers, the janitors, the people that are out there every single day. Those are our heroes. And I think now more than ever, America is seeing that. So what we need to do is to turn that love for our heroes into action in the state capitol and in Washington, D.C. I think you know I have been standing tall on workers' rights for a long time, but now we stand tall on your very lives. And that's why we fought to get funding for things like testing, which is going to make such a big difference, for things like hospital money, and yes, local and state funding, broadband, infrastructure, all of those things. It's going to be on the line. So times like this truly help us define who we are as a nation. Times like this tells us what our country is all about. So I want to thank you so much for the work you're doing. We gathered today, not at one of our picnics, and you know I love your picnics. I always am at them whenever I can. Not at one of our rallies or one of our big meetings. We're doing it virtually. It's not quite the same. We know that. But we will find a way. We will find a way to bring our workers back. So thank you for what you're doing. Let's stay hopeful, as hard as it is. Let's stay strong. I know we can do that because you're the AFL-CIO, and let's stay safe. Thanks for your sacrifices.
Hi, my name is Frances Hall, and I'm a nurse and a home care worker. And I take care of my grandson who has a terminal illness and also is immune suppressed. Since this pandemic started, we have not had any PPE for us and or for our clients. We've had to go to multiple stores in order to find PPE, therefore exposing ourselves and then bringing it back into our homes and or into our job sites. It's not fair that we have had to fend for ourselves during this pandemic and that we are held to a lower standard from protecting ourselves, our families, and our clients. We need to raise the standards on getting us PPE in order to take care of the most vulnerable people in our state.
The workers that have died on the workplace. April 28th is Workers' Memorial. We mourn for the dead and we fight for the living. And our fight has gotten harder and harder these past few months. We don't want to forget our brothers and sisters that are making our lives safer every day. And we need to do our part to help them as well. Please think about them as we go to work, as we shop, as we be with family.
So every year we plant a tree back here behind the Labor Temple in Duluth, and it's in honor of the people that have fallen during the year, have been injured gravely, and their families move on with them in bad instances and or without them at all. So later on in the spring, as things progress here, we'll be planting another tree like this one that we've done for 15 years that I know of, and it's to honor the workers. So we do this every year. This year we obviously have got some outside interference with the COVID-19 stuff, and we're going to make do, but the message is the same. We need people to be going to work in the morning and coming home at night in safe conditions, and we fight for workplace safety every single day.
My name is Sharice McCain, and this is Bread and Roses. As we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 mill-lofts gray are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we go marching, marching, we battle too for men, for they are in the struggle, and so we fight for them. Our lives shall not be sweetened from birth until life closes. Hearts starve as well as bodies. Give us bread, but give us roses. As we go marching, marching, we bring the greater days, for the rising of the women means the rising of the race. No more the drudge and idler tend that toil where one reposes, but the sharing of life's glories, bread and roses, bread and roses. As we go marching, marching in the beauty of the day, a million darkened kitchens, 1,000 mill-lofts gray are touched with all the radiance that a sudden sun discloses. For the people hear us singing, bread and roses, spreading roses.
How's it going? My name is Jeffrey Henderson. I am a St. Paul Local 110 fourth year apprentice. I'm currently working for Maynard Electric, but I want to take this time to speak up and lend my voice to Jobsite Safety. As a tradesperson for the IABW, Jobsite Safety can be the determining factor on preventing injury, both minor and severe. But in the question of life or death, it can also be the resolve. Jobsite safety is nothing new to us in the labor movement. In fact, I feel it's one of the fundamental foundations the labor movement was built on. So with that being said, as a tradesperson, I put a lot of weight on my workplace being a safe place to work. When it's based in cooperation, communication, and compassion, I feel like it is very relatable to a healthy marriage. And with those three things, that job site workplace can thrive. As an employee of an electrical shop, I work diligently to make sure my work is done in a timely manner, but more so safe. There's a saying almost all tradespeople use, which is if you see something, say something. And that is to encourage a culture in which unsafe work conditions are called out. Now, I think those are two-sided coins. My employer can do everything possible and necessary to take the proper precautions to make sure I'm safe, but I have to follow those regulations, otherwise the system won't work for me. So with this check and balance and cooperation, I feel my workplace is a safe place to work. With that understanding, accidents are a part of everyday life. Construction has a great deal of potential hazards, so we prep for them where we can and we avoid them where at all possible. But in this fast-paced, physically demanding career, I feel like accidents are inevitable. So when they do occur, I have to feel empowered and more so encouraged to speak up about how it occurred, so that way it prevents the next person from getting hurt. It is so important that every job site has these standards. I think this marriage of taking ownership at every level encourages all parties to show the necessary compassion for everyone involved. In my brief time in construction, I found these to be the determining factors to make sure workplaces are safe and that work conditions continue to grow for the betterment of workers. These are unprecedented times that we're in. And with things like Corona and workplace safety being jeopardized by things that are out of our control, I like to fall back on those 3 C's of compassion, cooperation, and communication to make sure that myself, my family, and my coworkers do come home safe every day.
On April 28th, we come together to observe Workers' Memorial Day, and we remember those who have suffered and died on the job. And we renew our fight for safe jobs. Today, with the COVID-19 pandemic, we know people who risk their lives every day when they go to work. So on this day, though we can't join together in person, let's join together in solidarity for all the working people who serve us in hospitals and nursing homes, driving trucks and tractors, working in meatpacking plants and as caregivers. And let's rededicate ourselves to the fight for the dignity of work that is safe and that pays a living wage. And let's recommit ourselves to the basic right that people should be able to come together collectively to work for better wages and health care, safer working conditions, and a job that supports them and their families. Because we all know that strong unions lead to strong families, strong communities, and an economy that works for all of us, not just the rich and powerful. So I'm wishing you peace and happy memories on this Workers' Memorial Day. Take care and stay healthy.
Hi, I'm Connie Beisel from the National Association of Letter Carriers in Minneapolis Branch 9, and I chair the Dakota County Labor Assembly.
My name is Tori Gray. I'm with the United Steelworkers, Local 662, out of Hastings, Minnesota.
The Dakota County Labor Assembly has been holding a Workers' Memorial Day ceremony for over 25 years. After the terrible tragedy that happened on 9/11 in 2001, where thousands of workers were injured and died on the job, we decided to donate a permanent memorial to the Lebanon Hills Cemetery in Apple Valley. We have a monument for fallen workers with a plaque on a boulder and a park bench to sit and reflect on, all of which is surrounded by trees that we planted in the cemetery.
The goal of Workers' Memorial Day is to remember those who have suffered and died on the job. As we remember those who have died in workplace catastrophes, suffered diseases due to exposure to toxic substances, or has been injured because of dangerous conditions, it is also an opportunity to reflect on the need to revitalize our commitment to improving health and safety in the workplace.
We're going to read a poem together. It's called The Plan by Sue Walz. I am your mother,
Father,
sister,
brother,
child,
partner,
lover.
friend.
Today, I planned to take a walk,
See a friend,
tell a joke,
give a smile,
pay a bill,
play a game,
take a ride,
kiss a cheek.
hug a child.
I did not plan to die today, but I did.
I planned to go to work,
Build a bridge,
pave a road,
fix a pipe,
teach a class,
save a life,
paint a room,
write reports,
enter data,
work the line,
wire buildings,
walk the iron.
erect the steel.
I did not plan to die today, but I did. Please think of me just once today when you fulfill your plans.
I am your mother,
Father,
sister,
brother,
child,
partner,
lover.
friend.
I didn't plan to die today, but I did.
They can buy a judge, buy a congressman, buy a pass when something else goes wrong. They can pay a fine, consider it a business cost, keep the change and just move on. On Easter Monday, they rolled the tombstone back. He was buried with the others underground. The explosion shook our mountain, shook our houses, shook us all. We heard not a peep from Massey, not a sound. Oh, baby, daddy's gone. Little girl, your daddy's gone. My sister saw his name on the website, told me and held me in her arms. I could not believe it. He had just been home that morning, kissed me and the baby and was gone. Then the Fox and CNN and ABC and MSNBC reporters were all over for a while, till they were called away, maybe to cover some dog show or the changes in the New York City styles. Oh, baby, daddy's gone. Little girl, your daddy's gone. I know mining is a dangerous job. It's all we have, it's how we live, and too often how we die. Massey feeds our families and will pay off the survivors. Somehow we'll get along and we'll get by. But they trade the miners' lives for profit and production, and never feel the burden or the loss. Now my little girl will grow up without a father. Yes, it's he and she and I who pay the cost. Oh, baby, daddy's gone. Little girl, your daddy's gone. Oh, baby, daddy's gone. Little girl, he's gone.
Good evening. My name is Mary Turner. I'm president of Minnesota Nurses Association. More importantly, I'm a medical ICU nurse at North Memorial in Robbinsdale, Minnesota. working on the first COVID ICU unit of that hospital. Do the nurses have safety concerns? You bet. Our top concern is the fact that our supply of personal protective equipment is not assured. Every day it's a risk as to whether we're going to have enough isolation gowns, enough gloves, enough N95s, enough shields to protect us when we go in and take care of these COVID-19 patients. I'm telling you now, the anxiety among the nurses is skyrocketing. And it's terrifying to me that one day to think that we may have to take care of these patients without our protective equipment. We're on the front lines, and we are having casualties. To date, over 50 nurses nationally have lost their lives to COVID-19. I myself, along with many, many other nurses, have cared for our fellow nurses at the bedside. Luckily, the ones that we have cared for at North Memorial have survived. But as a labor leader, to watch our fellow nurses suffering because they lacked the protective equipment that they needed at the time and caught this virus is heart-wrenching. The agony that we go through every day with our emotions, physically, mentally, spiritually, is unimaginable at this time. Please, please, I beg all of you to take the stay-at-home orders seriously, the social distancing seriously, because what you're doing is helping to save the lives of the healthcare workers. And we appreciate it so much. Thank you.
Governor Tim Walz here. I'm sorry I can't be with you in person, but I just wanted to note I have proclaimed April 28th, 2020 as Workers' Memorial Day in recognition of those who have suffered and died on the job. So many of you during this time of crisis are out there on the front line putting yourselves at risk so the rest of us can be safe. I am grateful for that. Our commitment to you is to make sure that you always have the equipment that you need and the support that you need to do your jobs, and that you are always protected in your workplace to speak up whenever there's a safety concern or workers are put at risk. That is the only way that we can ensure that we keep each and every one of you safe. So you have my deepest gratitude. You have the gratitude of all Minnesotans. And on April 28th, we all take and pause for those we've lost and note that we have to do everything in our power to make sure we don't lose people on the job. So thank you for what you do, and we are grateful.